the clawbacks are certainly a concern. The $900 million is certainly a concern. And one thing, Mr. Chairman, I've mentioned in the past 2 years that we've had a President Trump is that we need to be a little bit kinder and gentler to the federal government with respect to lawsuits that are filed against the federal government. Our Attorney General files lawsuits about once a week. And so I would say that the relationship between the state of California and the federal government is extremely strained, and I don't think under the circumstances that we've been witnessing over the past 2 years that the Trump administration is going to be any bit sensitive to helping us bail out of a project that has been, frankly, mismanaged and not planned well. And so the message I got from our governor in the State of the State address is that this project is not going to come to fruition anytime soon. And it's a gigantic project. And while I understand his need to complete a segment between Bakersfield and Merced to preserve what federal funding is coming, that was a wise alternative and a wise recommendation for him. I've never understood, even before I came in the legislature, why we would start a segment from Bakersfield north to Merced and then to San Francisco instead of starting in a more populated area, like maybe going from San Francisco south or Los Angeles south to Anaheim, because, and maybe the auditor and the LAO can answer this question, that if we had built those segments, the actuarial cost of a ticket would probably have been a lot less than what the actuarial costs are going to be if we come to a conclusion between Bakersfield and Merced. And I was wondering if you've done any analysis on that at all. So what those actuarial costs will be. Here we're talking about a project that's close to $100 billion now. But nobody's talking about, okay, if we invest that kind of money, what is the actuarial cost? Is it going to be $500 for the state to break even to go from Los Angeles to Sacramento versus getting on a flight for $69 or $249 that the state pays for us? They pay full price for those tickets. Obviously, the state is going to have to subsidize the cost of these tickets, which is not uncommon for governments to subsidize public transportation. It's done throughout California. It's done throughout Europe. So I would like to get your opinion on those.
So we haven't done an independent analysis of the amount that would be required, perhaps, as a subsidy to operate the different segments, and hopefully additional information in May will provide some additional ridership data that'll help understand better what those would be. But my understanding, at least, is that some of the decisions to start in the Central Valley were related to some of the federal funding requirements and trying to meet those, and the state took a number of steps, as was referenced, to try to meet the federal requirements. And additionally, I think there was some thought, as I understand it, that would be perhaps a more doable segment. Some of the segments, for example, in the LA area as well as in the Bay Area, require tunneling and some more difficult kinds of engineering work that I think have been considered to be more challenging than the relatively flat construction in the Central Valley. So I think there were a variety of factors that went into the decision to start there. Probably the ability to operate without a subsidy, as a standalone segment was not the main reason, because it does seem like that would be more difficult with a Central Valley segment than perhaps a segment that might have more ridership.
Yeah, that certainly is going to be one of my concerns, that if we ever do get this thing built, the actuarial cost of a ticket is going to be astronomical. But I still believe that if we're going to move forward with any project, I agree with the governor, we should be breaking it up into segments, making maybe 3 or 4 segments, 5 segments, and building it as we can afford to build it, and certainly preserve federal funding where we certainly can. But I would just, caution the state to stop kicking President Trump in the groin every time you have an opportunity to, and let's try to work with him. And maybe, Mr. Chairman, we get a subcommittee of some Republicans, albeit we're a minority here in the state of California, but we have the key to getting into the White House if we need to get in there. And, we all want good things for the state of California, and we've got to work cooperatively together to get what we need to build a first-class transportation system here in the state of California. So I welcome that opportunity.